Have you ever stopped to think, what if the vegetables you've been told are good for you, the ones you've eaten for years, are actually causing your body more harm than good? What if the very things sitting in your kitchen right now are silently making your health worse? Sounds crazy, right? But imagine this. You're trying to eat healthier. You're doing what the doctors always said, more vegetables, less junk. You boil your broccoli, chop up your cabbage, maybe add a little eggplant to the mix. You think you're doing everything right, but then you start feeling bloated, tired, your blood pressure is creeping up. Your joints ache more than usual. Your stomach, it's just not settling the way it used to. You chalk it up to getting older. Oh, it's just age catching up with me, you say. But what if it's not just age? What if it's something on your plate? Listen, as we get older, our bodies change a lot. What we used to digest easily in our 30s and 40s, now it might feel like it's fighting against us. See, the truth is not all vegetables are created equal. Some can spike your blood sugar. Some overload your kidneys. Some quietly mess with your thyroid or gut. And you don't even realize it until months or years later. And here's the thing most people miss. These aren't rare exotic vegetables from halfway across the world. No, they're in your fridge, in your grocery cart. They're the ones people say are healthy, but they're not healthy for everyone, especially not for seniors. In today's video, we're going to talk about 5 vegetables that seniors should never eat. Vegetables that could be secretly harming your digestion, your blood pressure, even your brain. And trust me, number 4, that one's going to surprise a lot of people because almost everyone eats it thinking it's completely harmless. But here's the good news. I'm not just going to leave you hanging. You'll also learn what to eat instead, so you can still enjoy meals that are delicious, nourishing, and safe. What went? Without giving up flavor or comfort. So before you take another bite of that healthy veggie, stay with me. This might change the way you see your dinner plate for good. And hey, if you're here to take better control of your health or to care for a loved one who's aging, drop a quick comment below that says, "I'm here." Let's build a community that learns and grows together. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more daily tips from Elderly Wisdom Insight, your trusted companion on this journey to healthier, wiser aging. All right, let's dive in. Let's start with one of the biggest shockers of them all. Cruciferous vegetables, broccoli, cabbage, kale, Brussels sprouts. All the ones we've always been told are super healthy. Now don't get me wrong, they can be for some people. But here's where things get tricky, especially for seniors. Picture this for a second. Your dad finishes dinner and leans back in his chair. He's uncomfortable. He lets out a sigh, rubs his stomach, maybe even loosens his belt a bit. You ask if he's okay, and he just shrugs it off. Just a little gas, he says. But then it happens again the next night and again the next week. Always after that healthy dinner with a big scoop of steamed broccoli or sautéed cabbage on the side. And here's the thing, no one connects the dots right away. Because how could something like broccoli be the problem? It's just vegetables, right? But the truth is, cruciferous vegetables, despite all their benefits, contain a type of natural sugar called raffinose, and raffinose isn't easily broken down by the body, especially in seniors. C. As we age, our digestive systems slow down. We produce less stomach acid, the enzymes that help break down complex sugars and fibers. They're not working as efficiently anymore. So when you eat something like kale or cabbage, your body has to work overtime to digest it. And oftentimes it just can't keep up. That's when you start to feel the bloating, the gas, the tightness in your belly that just won't go away. Sometimes even nausea or fatigue after meals. All because your body is struggling to process what it once handled with ease. Now it's not just the raffinose. Cruciferous veggies also contain grogens, compounds that can interfere with thyroid function. And for older adults, especially those already dealing with thyroid issues, this can be a silent aggravator. You might notice weight changes, tiredness, even mood shifts, and think it's just aging. But your food might be playing a bigger role than you think. And here's the part that trips most people up. We've been taught that the greener the veggie, the better, that you can never have too much broccoli. But that's not entirely true. For seniors, it's not about cutting out vegetables, it's about choosing the ones your body can handle. Instead of raw or heavily fibrous cruciferous vegetables, try lightly steaming them. This helps break down some of the difficult-to-digest compounds and makes them gentler on your stomach. Or swap in softer greens like spinach, which is much easier to digest. Zucchini is another great option. Even well-cooked carrots can provide nutrients without causing discomfort. The goal isn't to avoid veggies, it's to make them work with your body, not against it. Because let's be honest, no one wants to feel miserable after eating a plate of food they thought was good for them. That's not health. That's frustration. So the next time you see that pile of broccoli on your plate, think twice. Maybe it's time to switch it up. Not because it's bad for everyone, but because it might just be too much for you right now. And broccoli isn't the only troublemaker because the next vegetable. It might seem perfectly safe, maybe even part of your daily meals, but hidden behind its rich red color is a danger that could be spiking your blood pressure more than you realize. Let's talk about it. Canned tomatoes. Think about your aunt. Every Sunday she's in the kitchen, apron on, stirring her famous tomato sauce. It's her tradition, her joy. She says it's full of flavor and tomatoes are good for the heart. And you smile because it feels like home, like love in a pot. But lately she's been complaining about joint pain. Her acid reflux flares up more often. Sometimes she gets dizzy when she stands up and her doctor's been raising concerns about her blood pressure. Now here's the catch. You don't think to blame the tomato sauce because how could something so normal, so comforting be the issue? But here's what's really going on. Canned tomatoes, though convenient, come with some hidden dangers, especially for older adults. First, sodium. Many canned tomato products are loaded with salt. It's not just to flavor the sauce. It's there to preserve it, thicken it, stabilize it. But for seniors, high sodium intake is risky. It causes your body to hold on to more water, which increases blood volume, which puts pressure on your heart and blood vessels. And over time, that can mean higher risk of heart attacks, strokes, or kidney strain. And that's just the start. The lining of most traditional cans contains a chemical called BPA, bisphenol A. Now, BPA has been linked to hormonal imbalances, inflammation, and even certain cancers. For seniors who already have slower metabolisms and potentially weaker immune defenses, exposure to BPA can do more harm than it might in younger adults. So every spoonful of that canned tomato sauce, it might be delivering more than just flavor. It could be feeding inflammation, raising your blood pressure, and messing with your digestion. And here's the most common misunderstanding. People think tomatoes are healthy, lycopene, antioxidants. They're good for me, and that's absolutely true when they're fresh. Fresh tomatoes are wonderful, rich in nutrients, low in sodium, and free from chemicals. But once they're processed and canned, the story changes. So, what can you do? Well, you don't have to give up your favorite recipes. Instead of canned, go for fresh tomatoes. Slice them, stew them, or blend them yourself. Or, if convenience is key, look for tomatoes packed in BPA-free containers with no added salt. There are options out there, safer, smarter ones that give you all the flavor without the added risk, because food should heal you, not hurt you. And while we're on the topic of sodium, the next vegetable is one most people wouldn't even suspect. It doesn't taste salty, it doesn't seem harmful, but it's quietly bringing more sodium into your diet than you probably realize. Let's take a closer look. Pickled and fermented vegetables. Now, let me tell you about Mr. Jenkins. He's 78, sharp as a tack, and still walks to the park every morning with his little straw hat. Every afternoon he'd sit on his porch with a crossword puzzle in one hand and a jar of pickles in the other. He loved that satisfying crunch, that salty bite. He swore by it. "Keeps the gut healthy," he'd say with a grin. But at his last checkup, something wasn't right. His blood pressure had crept up. His ankles were swelling more than usual, and he was getting tired fast. His doctor ran a few tests, reviewed his diet, and the culprit: that innocent little pickle. Now, don't get me wrong, fermented foods can be beneficial. They support gut health, introduce healthy bacteria, and help with digestion. But here's the thing no one tells you: not all fermented foods are created equal. Many store-bought pickled veggies, including cucumbers, peppers, even carrots, are packed in heavy brine loaded with salt and vinegar. And that kind of sodium content, it's no small thing, especially for older adults. Seniors are more vulnerable to the effects of high sodium. Your kidneys aren't as efficient as they used to be. Your heart may already be working harder than it should. So, when you consistently take in too much salt, it starts to wear on you. That means hypertension, fluid retention, dizziness, and over time, even an increased risk of stroke. It's subtle. You don't feel it right away, but over months and years, it adds up. And by the time symptoms show up, it's often already affecting your quality of life. And here's a common misconception I hear a lot: fermented is always good. Yes, fermentation can promote gut health. But a pickle sitting in a vinegar bath in a jar on the shelf for a year, that's not the same thing as naturally fermented cabbage from your grandmother's kitchen. There's a difference between naturally fermented foods and pickled-in salt and vinegar products. The first offers live cultures and benefits. The second, well, let's just say, it's a salty trap in disguise. So, what can you do instead? You don't have to give up those tangy flavors. You can make your own low-sodium fermented vegetables at home. Try homemade kimchi using sea salt in moderation, or a small portion of natural sauerkraut made the traditional way without all the additives. And if you must go store-bought, read the label. Look for no added sodium or naturally fermented, and avoid anything that sounds like a chemistry experiment. Mr. Jenkins made the switch. Now he enjoys a modest portion of homemade kimchi a few times a week. And guess what? His blood pressure is back on track. His energy's up. And that smile hasn't left his face. Because small changes can make a big difference, especially when it comes to your heart. And speaking of heart health, this next vegetable might just spark a little debate. It's often praised as one of the healthiest options out there. But for seniors, it could be doing more harm than good. Let's dive into number 4, and I promise this one's going to surprise you. Now picture this. It's Sunday evening. Your grandfather's sitting at the head of the dinner table. Plate full of roast chicken, peas, and a big scoop of buttery mashed potatoes. He smiles as he takes a bite, eyes lighting up with nostalgia. It's been his favorite meal since he was a young man. But lately he's been feeling off, tired in the afternoons, moody, and his doctor's been keeping a closer eye on his blood sugar. You might not connect the dots right away because mashed potatoes, they're just potatoes. They're natural, comforting. How could something so simple be the problem? Here's what most people don't realize. White potatoes, while natural, are also very high in simple starches. And those starches, they act a lot like sugar once they hit your bloodstream. As soon as you eat a serving, mashed, baked, or fried, your body breaks it down quickly. This causes a rapid spike in blood glucose levels, which can be especially dangerous for seniors living with diabetes, prediabetes, or insulin resistance. And even if there's no formal diagnosis, that kind of sugar surge followed by a crash can lead to fatigue, brain fog, irritability, and over time contribute to more serious metabolic conditions. Your grandfather's tiredness, that mid-afternoon slump, his lack of energy after meals, it could all be traced back to those innocent potatoes. And the biggest misconception, people assume that because potatoes grow in the ground, because they're not processed or packaged, they're perfectly safe for daily eating. But white potatoes have one of the highest glycemic indexes among common foods. That means they spike your blood sugar faster and harder than even some sweets. And for seniors whose metabolism and insulin sensitivity aren't what they used to be, this matters a lot. So what's the solution? You don't have to give up comfort food entirely. There are smarter alternatives that still hit that warm, satisfying spot. Try sweet potatoes. They digest more slowly and are richer in fiber and nutrients. They still need to be eaten in moderation, of course, but they offer a gentler rise in blood sugar, not a roller coaster. Or get creative. Mashed cauliflower is a fantastic low-carb alternative. Steam it, season it, maybe add a touch of garlic or olive oil, and suddenly you've got a dish that feels like a hug without the sugar spike. Your meals should give you energy, not take it away. They should nourish your body and your memories. And for your grandfather, a simple swap could mean steadier moods, clearer thinking, and more time doing what he loves instead of napping the afternoon away, confused about why he feels drained. But hold on, we've talked about the gut, the heart, blood sugar. Now, it's time to go a little deeper because there's one more vegetable left. And this one might be messing with your mind. Literally, it's a vegetable that many health gurus promote. But for older adults, especially those concerned with memory and brain function, it could be quietly causing harm behind the scenes. Let's talk about number 5, and why it might be time to rethink how healthy it really is. Eggplant. Now this one catches people off guard. You've just made dinner. A beautiful eggplant parmesan, golden and rich. The kitchen filled with that delicious smell. Your loved one takes a few bites, even goes back for seconds. Everything seems fine until an hour later. They're holding their stomach. They look pale, light-headed, a little nauseated, and they can't seem to get comfortable because their joints, their knees, and fingers suddenly ache more than usual. At first you chalk it up to overeating. Or maybe they're just tired. But what if the real issue was the eggplant? C. Eggplant belongs to a group of vegetables called nightshades, which also includes tomatoes, peppers, and white potatoes. And here's the thing, nightshades contain a naturally occurring chemical called soline. Now, soline isn't harmful to everyone, but in sensitive seniors, especially those with arthritis, inflammation, or digestive challenges, this compound can trigger flare-ups. We're talking increased joint stiffness, stomach discomfort, and sometimes even mood changes due to gut irritation. And because these symptoms are so common in older adults, they often go unnoticed or get blamed on something else entirely. The biggest misconception: people think it's a vegetable, it's colorful, it must be healthy, and it can be for some. But when it comes to aging bodies, the rule isn't one size fits all. It's about listening, paying attention to how foods make you feel, not just in the moment, but a few hours later, the next morning, over time. If you or someone you love notices more pain, more bloating, or a sense of sluggishness after eating eggplant, don't ignore it. Instead, test it in small portions. Cook it well. Roasting or baking can reduce soline levels slightly. And if symptoms persist, it might be worth avoiding it altogether. There are so many other vegetables that offer similar nutritional benefits without the risk of triggering inflammation or discomfort. Your meals should leave you feeling nourished, not worn down, comforted, not confused. And here's what it all comes down to. These 5 vegetables: cruciferous greens, canned tomatoes, pickled snacks, white potatoes, and eggplant. They seem harmless. Some ease and sound healthy. But for seniors, the story is different. Because as we age, the body changes. What once helped might now hurt, and the foods you trusted your whole life may need a second look. Now that you've learned what's hiding in your kitchen, let's go a little deeper. Because food isn't just about nutrients, it's about memories, emotions, care. And when the foods we share with the ones we love begin to harm instead of heal, that can be hard to face. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about the emotional side of food, aging, and letting go of what no longer serves you. It's a strange thing, isn't it? We grow up learning that vegetables are always good, that a colorful plate is a healthy plate, that the more greens, the better. So when you start to realize that some of those very same vegetables, the ones you've trusted for decades, could be the reason behind a loved one's pain, discomfort, or sudden health decline. It can feel like the ground is shifting beneath your feet. And if you're the one feeling those effects, the bloating, the aches, the fatigue, it's even more confusing. You're doing everything right, but something still isn't right. That's a hard truth to sit with. Because food isn't just food. It's memories. It's Sunday dinners with your grandkids. It's quiet breakfasts with your spouse. It's comfort when the world feels heavy. And now you're being told that something as innocent as broccoli or eggplant might be hurting you. That's not easy. But here's the beautiful part. You're not powerless. In fact, now you have something most people don't. Awareness. You're not walking into your kitchen blind anymore. You're walking in with eyes open, heart steady, and a quiet kind of strength that says, I care enough to learn. I care enough to change. This isn't about fear. This isn't about restriction or guilt. It's about preparedness. It's about being intentional. And it's about choosing every single day to love yourself and those around you through the food you share. So here's what I want you to do. Just take a moment, go to your pantry, open your fridge, and look, are those 5 vegetables sitting there? Cruciferous greens, canned tomatoes, pickled jars, a bag of potatoes, maybe that glossy eggplant you were planning to cook tonight. You don't have to throw everything out. You don't have to panic. Just start small. Maybe you steam the broccoli instead of boiling it. Maybe you choose fresh tomatoes over canned. Maybe you swap that jar of pickles for a homemade version with less salt. Maybe you try mashed cauliflower instead of potatoes just once and see how your body feels. Every small change is a big step, because every meal can be a moment of healing. Every bite, a quiet act of love. And when you start to notice the difference in how you feel, in how your loved ones feel, you'll realize this wasn't just about avoiding certain vegetables. It was about reclaiming your health, your peace, and your power. You're not just aging, you're evolving. And now you're doing it with wisdom, with care, with purpose. That's something to be proud of. You're not alone on this path, not for a single step. And with just a little awareness, you're turning each meal into something sacred, a gift, a choice, a legacy of health and love. And that is something truly beautiful. Let's take a moment to gently go over what we've covered today, because sometimes just hearing it again helps it settle in. First, we talked about cruciferous vegetables like broccoli, cabbage, and kale. Nutritious in many ways, yes, but in excess, they can cause gas, bloating, and even affect thyroid function in some seniors. Second, canned tomatoes. A pantry staple for so many, but behind that rich flavor lies hidden sodium and chemicals that can worsen acid, reflux, and put strain on the heart. Third, pickled or jarred veggies. Crunchy and flavorful, but often overloaded with salt, making them a quiet threat to your blood pressure and kidneys. Fourth, the humble white potato. Comforting, familiar, but a quick spike to blood sugar levels that's risky for anyone dealing with diabetes or energy issues. And fifth, eggplant. A beautiful ingredient, but one that contains solanine, which may aggravate inflammation, joint pain, or digestion in sensitive seniors. These 5 vegetables might look harmless. They might even be in your kitchen right now. But for older adults, choosing how much and how often we eat them can make a world of difference. Now I want to hear from you. Have you ever had a surprising reaction to one of these vegetables? Or maybe your parent, your spouse, or someone you care for started feeling off after eating something that was supposed to be healthy. Share your story in the comments. You never know who you might help. Your experience could be the gentle warning someone else needs. And if this video made you think differently about food and health in later life, go ahead and tap that subscribe button. Here on Elderly Wisdom Insight, we're all about support. Support that's thoughtful, respectful, and rooted in real life. Each day we bring you tips, insights, and heartfelt guidance because we believe aging should be met with strength, dignity, and peace of mind. And before you go, thank you. Thank you for giving your time. Thank you for caring enough to learn. Thank you for showing up, not just for yourself, but for those around you who count on your love and awareness. So until next time, stay strong, stay informed, and as always, take good care of yourself and the ones you love. I'll see you in the next video.